Welcome back, everyone, to our Catball Cafe for this week. As always, excited to be here. And this week, again, we have some very exciting news. So let's get right into it. Over to you, Corey.
Thanks, Jen. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody on the show. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight. We got a fun show tonight. We have shout outs as usual, 3D sneak peeks, roadmap update, Korean community update, giveaway review, community questions and suggestions, and announcements. So let's get right to it with the shout outs. We had some wonderful meetups happen this week in real life, coming together, having fun. That's what we're all about at Cat. We have Tiger Lake, Skywalker, and Wave who met up for Korean community managers lunch. Awesome. That looks delicious. We have Pink Robin on her ride with her Catbot companion. Let's go. Thank you, Pink Robin. You're always posting the best posts and most entertaining things. That's an awesome motorcycle. Yeah, we had another community-led holder meetup in Seoul. Wow, you guys are just meeting up left and right. Last week was fun. And it's also fun to see people making these really cool webtoons from the Kakao channel. And I think some of our team members got into it too. So Mel, it's time for Meownagers. This webtoon's from Baby Feet. It says, "Get up, I peed." This webtoon from this webtoon from Cat Dad says, "When will you give me nano cats?" Here's some fan art posted from Isaac Jung's Twitter page. VCon and NB1's dropping May 20th. And now for my favorite part of the show, it's the 3D section. And today on the show, we got Sunny, who's going to feature one very special trait. So what's that trait we got, Sunny?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm gonna show it off with this 13-second animation that I worked on.
Look at that gold. Looks gorgeous.
So yeah, I hope that's gotten you guys more excited for the 3D catbots. I'm personally really excited to show off this Techno-Owl because as you can see right here, I have a catbot that has a Techno-Owl.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm super pumped.
So sick as usual. Give some love out to the 3D team and the chat. There's lots of chats about the future for Catbotica. And this week we caught this exchange between Skywalker, Sawju, Miner88, Mr. No. We're talking about the utilities of NV1. So I'm just going to read this chat and let's, maybe get some clarity from Way of Jin and see if any of this is true or not. So not sure, but they're considering splitting Catron into Rtron and Dtron. Rtron can be made from NV1s. It's possible to distinguish between the different uses of the games and metaverse and other utilities. It's just a personal idea. Anyway, I'm so excited, as we are. And I know what everyone wants to hear about tonight. And that's why on the show, we got Way of Jin here to share some roadmap updates. So Way of Jin, show us the greater roadmap. Show us the way.
Yes, so this week, what we're planning on doing is going through the NV1 sequence once again, just to make sure that people are keyed in into one process and sequence of what you can do with your NV1s. And if you look at the slideshows that we have currently, this is how it currently looks. So you start again with the 2D catbot, you burn in NV1, and you create your 3D catbot replicat. If you have 5 of the 3D catbots and you burn 4 NV1s, you can turn into the Catron. That's kind of like going to be one of the big Monties. And the references that people are making to the Rtron, Dtron, those are code names that we're currently just playing around with to see and see what sticks and see what the best way to name the Catrons. So going back into this diagram here, going from the 9 o'clock position, the 1 3D catbot replicat, if you burn additional NV1s, you'll be able to get also an upgraded asset as well. Then going to the right-hand side of the diagram at the 1 o'clock, future 2D NFTs, going back to the reinforcing the notion that the NV collection, the NV lines, are meant to take a 2D asset and convert it into a 3D asset. So you'll see that apply in future collections as well. So any future 2D NFTs, you can take your NV1s and burn that to take your 2D NFT and turn it into a 3D asset. So this is something that I do want to make sure that we are stressing or emphasizing that NV1s will have additional utility. So be very strategic as to how it is that you plan on working with your NV1s. Hopefully that gives a little bit of a recap on where we currently are with the NV1s, and we look forward to taking any questions you have further for next week.
May 20th, you will be able to start Mint 2D Catbot will be able to mint an NV1. So Jen, how do people get their NV1s, and what's the plan for that, the distribution?
So May 20th, you will go onto the website. The page will open and be available to be able to redeem your NV1. Once you redeem your NV1, it will show up in your using. It will be, there are no gas and transaction fees as we promised for the NV1 systems, that it would be quote unquote an airdrop. This particular system, the way we've done it with the redemption, was done really from the standpoint of secure up the system. NV1s and NV2s are going to be part of the same contract. So it was something where we do have a 2-week redemption period in which if you redeem those during those 2 weeks, there will be some bonus incentives that we will get into next week as well. And if you fall outside of the 2-week incentives, so from May 20th all the way to June 3rd, after June 3rd, we will be airdropping them to your wallets. So that is something that we do need to get the NV1s all out, and then we can then, I guess, clear the decks to be able to get into the NV2s. So again, that particular sequence, just from a contractual standpoint, we're doing many complex transactions or functions in that contract. So they advise this is the best way to be able to do that. So again, any questions that you have, please let us.
Once someone gets an NV1, what can they do with it?
Yeah, that's a big question that I think that we are attempts to communicate, and our ability to share with you the infographics that is meant to essentially get there. But this is where the larger roadmap is going to be really important for that. So that once you get the NV1s, which is happening on May 20th, and the redemption period after June 3rd, the next sequence in that, of course, is the replicats. But because of the way the contracts are being set up, NV1 contract and NV2 contracts are one contract. Then we have the replicats and sends-in contract in a separate contract as well. As you can see with the great work that the 3D team is doing, big huge shout out to them, just fantastic work. We're completed, then we're going to go through the process of putting them together in a replicat, and all the testing that goes into that, and then sending that over to the tech. All this is really just to share with you some of the details as to there's going to be a gap between June 3rd when the redemption period ends and actually when we can launch the replicat date. So that date itself is still TBD. We are getting very close to that launch as well. So when you get the NV1s, you can buy, sell, and trade, but you're not going to be able to actually do anything quite there with it yet. And part of that is that the first application of it is going to be the replicats. But as we're going to show next week as well, if we've kind of indicated, there are many other elements or points in which you can use the actually right after you get the redemption and beyond the redemption period itself.
Very cool. I'm really interested to see what people decide to do, whether they make a 3D replicat or they hold on to it for something in the future. I think that this is all part of
engage into an NFT ecosystem and really create a really robust, fun world, a universe that we're creating here for you guys. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what decisions people ultimately make, that your decisions will actually have a role in what happens, because if you're the gamification of NFT really becomes a tremendous amount of fun and really engaging. So hopefully you guys have as much fun of it.
There's also some fun activities happening at Pangyoland. Jen, what's happening over there?
Yeah, we're so excited for what's going on at Pangyoland starting this week here in Korea in the Pangyo Hyundai department store. And one of the things that we did for this particular exhibition and events was really focus on the kids, since it's family month and this is tied into the kids and parents days. So it will be a very kid-centric type event. We have several zones. One zone is where we are going to be launching My Catbot. I think this is actually the first time we're actually sharing about this. It's going to be a very exciting, very fun app where you can actually create your own catbot and be able to print it out in color. So that's going to be really for people on site to be able to engage with and work on. So we'll have a creation zone, and we'll have a coloring zone, and then we'll also have a exhibition there as well. That's gonna, just a reminder that that's gonna start on the 13th and run all the way to the 29th. And my Catbot is me personally just going through the process. I was just having so much fun with it. I think you guys have a blast with that. Another big part of this is we also have an incredible activity book that Rawls has put together.
So this is the cover of the *Cat-Botica* coloring book. This coloring book is kind of special to me. I've always wanted to do a coloring book as an artist, and so this is the cover, really splashy and colorful and fun. And on the inside, this is the interior cover for the book. And here you have the first page of the coloring book. Now this first page is kind of an homage to the original Catbot that I created. You can actually see it if you go to my Instagram and scroll way down. You can see the original drawing of this Catbot. And as I was, interesting note is, as I was going through this coloring book, creating it, my wife suggested, she says, what if you made it, more fun, like putting activities in there? And I thought that was a great idea, because I've also always wanted to do things like mazes and, crosswords and all that. So I thought, and that's why if you notice on the cover of the coloring book, it doesn't say coloring book, it says activity book. So it's not a coloring book. It's got more than that. So you'll see, this is page 1, this is page 2. You got some little guys hidden in there. There's lots of little details. And then we have a maze, which is really fun. You get to help the little mouse go through the maze and find the cheese at the center of the maze. So I've got lots of variety of pages. Here you got some emojis you can color. Here's kind of like a blueprint of the Catbot. Here's some cats with some other little creatures on it, which is a fun page for kids. Here's a decked out Catbot, lightning bolts. And then you have a word search, which is also fun. So lots of fun things in here for people to do. You got a Catron, which is super rad. You got the little kittening chamber. Just a little sketchy page. So there's lots of fun pages for everybody. Everybody loves color. Here's another maze. Help the queen feliner find its home. So yeah, there's lots of fun little tidbits in here. There might be some little Easter eggs. Of course, we've got pizza, because we all love pizza night, and donuts. And yeah, I even have this page for kids or adults. I shouldn't just say kids, because I know some of you adults will like to do this too, where you can draw your own Catbot's face and details on the Catbot and then color it. Yeah, so that's about it. There's a whole bunch of other pages in there that I'll just kind of through. This is a really fun one. I spent a long time doing this one. This is a spot the difference page. There's 15. I tested this out. I actually tested this on Will and Will's kids and my kids. And so I made sure that the details in here were good enough. They weren't too easy, but they weren't too hard. So I think everybody will enjoy that spot the difference page. Some flowery birds and stuff. And then there's the end of the book. That's it. And then you got the answers in the back. So that's it. Hope you all enjoy it.
Yet again together and just have a great time. So very much looking forward to that as well.
So cool. So we actually have a feliner moving out in outer space, and I'm actually receiving a transmission from there. So let's hear what's coming in.
Greetings, Cat-Boticans. NV1 Pack production coming online. Initial participants in NV1 redeem process may be rewarded. 2D Catbot Genesis metadata, also showing additional signs of utility. Details to follow. Carry on, Cat-Boticans.
Did everybody get that message? Excellent. Next up, we got Jin and Renee. How you guys doing?
Great. It's exciting to be here again,
So good.
week after week.
Always awesome to see Renee with us to share some words of wisdom.
I have some new topics for our friends. We're the partners. We're all discussing what kind of education the community would like to have. So we'd love to have some feedback. Would you prefer to have education on 3D, Unreal, Blender, for example, technical? Would you like to have education on starting your own company? Education on being an angel investor? Education on the process of creativity and innovation? And focusing for the moment on what is top of mind for a lot of people in the field is the economy. And the economy from the point of view of markets. You've got the stock market, the crypto market, the NFT market. If you remember 2 years ago, in the 2020, just as COVID was starting to get noticed, the stock market dropped, the cryptos followed, but the cryptos regained faster than the stock market. So there is a relationship. When stock market's dropping, like recently, you'll see the crypto market drop, which impacts the price of Ethereum, which impacts the price of buying NFTs. So coins got two sides, a hand's got two sides. There's the good and the bad. Sometimes you're happy when Ethereum goes down because you can buy it cheaper, or you can buy NFTs cheaper with lower cost NFTs, Ethereum rather. Sometimes when you're selling, you like to see a high Ethereum price. And so there's good and bad in the price movements of Ethereum. On the topic of movements, there's many factors that make the topic of the market price complex. You have professionals that are shorting the market. You got people that are borrowing on their Ethereum or their stocks. And when the market goes down, the brokers call the loans effectively. And the market goes deeper because people have to satisfy what's called margin calls. And so you have all these factors. You've got trading systems that impact the movement and the speed of the movement. And speed of the movement is more so in the crypto market than it is in the stock market. And people don't realize if you see Ethereum at $2,200 and it goes to $3,300, that's a $1,100 profit for people who bought in at the $2,200. You're going to have many, many sellers. You're going to have a large resistance of going higher than 3,200 because people have made in a week, a month, 3 weeks, they made 50% return, which is unseen in the stock market. And so the validity of cryptos and the gains that people can make, whether individuals or professionals, the returns are huge. And so hoping that Ethereum is going to go to 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, hoping that Ethereum 2.0 is going to bring a boost to the price of Ethereum, one has to take into account that there's going to be sellers as there's an increase in price because the gains are enormous in this industry. And so between trading systems, short selling, margin calls, the trading systems themselves, people making very high profits, it's really hard to predict the timing. Even if you have a long-term belief in a crypto, that long-term belief is affected by sellers along the way. The NFT market space is really all about judging who the long-term players will be, that have the staying power, that have the management skills, that aren't just going into business for the first time without any experience about cash flow, about expenses, about hiring, about the cost to take the project through its roadmap. So you really have to judge the team and the expertise of the individuals on the team when you pick the projects.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to ask you, pick your brain, because with Renee, we have someone who's got decades of experience in business and seeing market cycles and seeing the ups and downs of not just like stocks, but also even the internet and all the different things that have happened along the way. When it comes to market sentiment and when it comes to kind of the emotional quotient of where people are at when markets do go down or up, all the stuff that we're sharing, of course, is it's not financial advice of any kind, and really just it's anecdotal based on our experiences, and also really for just education. Because one of the things is that having Renee with us here, we have such an incredible resource. So we obviously want to share with our community some of the insights that he shares with us on a regular basis as to when he sees something happening, how to respond or react, or to at least understand what factors are at play so that you can make more of an informed decision. Is there anything, Renee, outside of a crypto or NFT, but more from a general marketplace conditions and sentiment, how do you navigate, or how have you seen markets respond, or are impacted in certain ways that we see similarities happening today?
If you look historically at the professional trader, professional traders love to draw straight lines. And so you always see on the charts a line that's under all the underlying bottoms. And they always say the system will trigger when you go below that line. I personally believe that the trading methods are flawed, but they're running the system. They're flawed because life is exponential, logarithmic. Life is not a straight line. Your eyes, when you zoom in to something in film, there's something called the exponential zoom. If you want to feel, if you zoom into something and you want to have a natural feeling for your eyes zooming in, it's an exponential. You have to move the camera 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So nature is exponential, it's not linear. When you get a price going up in a chart, it's going to go down when the momentum slows down. So when you see momentum driving up a price, which is logarithmic, it's when the momentum breaks and it doesn't continue to go at the same speed, rate of change, that's when the markets crash. So if you see something that's going too exponential, I call it a hockey stick, at some point in time, it's going to crack and go down. And prices go down faster than they go up. So it can take a while to go up. And when the momentum stops and the increased buying does not continue with the same momentum, there's no buyers. Once it drops, there's no buyers buying. You're into margin calls, you're into no buyers, you're into prices that can go really seriously down. And all the people that drew straight lines are kind of late, because by the time it hits a straight line, it goes way past below where people think it'll go. And all the people that drew straight lines are kind of late, because by the time it hits a straight line, it goes way past below where people think it'll go. So you're in a world of, are there buyers when the market goes down? And for a period of time, people are just waiting. We actually experienced that ourselves. When we saw our sellout on the reverse auction, people wait, once they saw that the market wasn't going up, the smart buyers waited. And they said, let's see where it goes down, how low it goes down, then we'll run in and buy. Why should they buy when a market's coming down? Just simply wait. When you see it pause, you see it stabilize and consolidate, then you walk in and buy. And so it's happened in our own situation with 캣 보티카 when we sold out on the 19th of January, I believe. We watched the market go down until it reached a point that people were waiting for, and then they went in and bought. Similarly with the stock market, similarly with the crypto market at the moment. When it's going down, there's no buyers. So you wait until it stops going down and there's enough consolidation, enough people wanting to buy, and you go into the trend that people are happy with a 50% gain from that point. They don't need 100% gain in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks. Everyone's overjoyed in the other worlds of stocks at making 50%. The professional traders, they've never seen such returns. So I'm saying,
Right.
yes, we may hit a very large, high price for cryptos one day. To get there, you have to get past the people who are happy making 50% return. And then it bounces up.
Some just great points that you're making there. And part of this also to, when it comes to the NFT cycle in particular, because we were kind of zooming out for the larger macro, what are the trends happening? And there are things that are coming down the pipe that will certainly impact us. I'm going to go into a little bit on the NFT side of things, what I've experienced the past 18 months. But on the side of like things going down and buyers are, there's no buyers and no one's going to buy and things are going to keep going down, you accelerate past the point and then it comes back up. Can you speak more to what happens on the other side of it? Where are the opportunities here as well? Because, as Warren Buffett says, where there's fear, that's when you should be greedy. So where does your kind of take on that particular sentiment, or where are the opportunities for people here so that we can, give both sides of the coin? Because there's always going to be opportunities in any kind of marketplace. It's just how are you prepared or educated or trained or understand or even have the experience to know that there's always going to be a point where it comes back up. And, timing a market, you can never really time the market because there's so many factors like human sentiment. That's why, this conversation about, Renee, you've experienced so much of the human sentiment behind how a market moves and what happens in the market, that numbers just won't tell everything. So what is your take on that?
There's at least two aspects. One, I'm very much like everyone else. When the markets go down, I get a pit in my stomach. If I'm in a position, I don't know if I should sell or not sell or hold on. And sadly, too often I've sold. As soon as I sell, it goes up. So,
right. We've all experienced that.
And so sometimes I tell myself, Renee, because you want to sell, don't. Because history has shown that emotionally, when you're selling, you shouldn't be. And so you have to know your own personality. You have to know your own risk tolerance. You have to know how much you can, what's going to wake you up at 2 a.m. Can you handle seeing a 20% drop in something you've invested in? So life forces you to get to know yourself, what you're capable of handling, what you're not capable of handling. There's nothing wrong with taking a profit too early. Nobody ever got poor making not enough profit. They won. They may not have won, they may not have sold at the top and bought at the bottom, but they didn't lose. And so you really have to get to understand your own personal ability to tolerate risk and failure and loss, because your emotions are going to dictate a lot of the decisions you make. The other aspect is general about technology. In 1967, when I was working at the National Film Board for the summer, I was friends with Norman McLaren, who was a grandfather of animation. I made the comment about, I had a Bolex 60mm and said, isn't it exciting with so many people having more and more access to film cameras that we'll have such great films coming out? And he made a comment which I never forgot. He said, no, when technology becomes available to the masses, you get a greater volume of mediocrity. And so don't assume that access to technology by the masses gives you greater quantity of quality. So I kind of watched that for decades, from that year through the internet, as an example, year 2000, 2001. You had technology that was available to anyone who could do anything. And that just meant more garbage. The parallel is now, the easier it is for people to create their own NFTs and create their own projects, there's a risk that they won't be high quality. However, once you get past weeding out the garbage and selecting the excellence, after the internet, you had great companies that came out and survived 2002, 3, 4, 5. And so similarly, NFT projects, you're going to have a lot of garbage in the field. And the key is finding the criteria, deciding on what the value system is to pick the projects that will come out like jewels and bubbles of diamonds. They'll be the long-term players and the high-quality players. And they'll be there. So the notion of greater volume of garbage may be valid for a period of time, but the exciting part is discovering which ones will win and be of high quality and succeed. That to me is the excitement. And so which NFT projects will be there 5 years and 10 years from now, and how will they evolve? And which ones will truly understand the medium of the metaverse, as it's called, Web3, whether it's Web 2.5, 3, whatever. You're gonna get a lot of mediocrity in those spaces, a lot of failures. And the question is, how do you judge the ones that have the right visions and the talent in-house, not just at the creative level and the execution of graphics and or marketing, but as well the business side and knowing how to build companies. And we've talked about values being aligned. It doesn't matter how great the creative is and marketing is if the partners are fighting, if the values align, if there's greed, ego, dishonesty, that's going to kill the company. So it's really hard to make the effort to dig into the capability of the people building the company. I kind of went all over the map, but I'm trying to give a general observation about how difficult it is to judge.
From the do your own research and DYOR, and this is not financial advice, really hewing to that. In if anything that could be taken away from this is know your own risk threshold and understand your own process or how you respond to these kind of the stimuli or events that happen, because everyone's situation is going to be different. This is why we cannot be giving financial advice, because we simply don't know and are not equipped to know what people's financial situations are. What we can speak towards is the human emotion of the pit in your stomach and then the elation going up. Those are things that we have experienced in these contexts. And then when we can provide the context, but also from how vicariously, how have you experienced things? Those are the things that I think we can share just as anecdotes of our personal experiences. So just that human element of the emotional, how big of a factor the human emotion is when making these moves or watching the markets and see what happens and how we respond. I think that's an incredible point that we're making here for today. And then,
there's a bit of an irony. We're talking about providing insights, but there's a story I'd like to share with our friends internationally. When I was in my early 20s, I said to my father, I want to put $500 into this situation. And he said, you're going to lose it. So I said, oh, so that means I shouldn't do it? He replied, no, you have to do it. I want you to do it because I want you to lose. It's a small loss, but you'll never learn listening to me. You'll learn by failure yourself. And so people have to experience losing and failure. And as long as it's on a small scale, it doesn't matter. But learning through experience, if it's not completely damaging, is more valuable to even listening to me here talking. So you might get some glimmer of thoughts, but nothing beats actually small failures to be able to build your own experience base and make decisions.
Yeah, so this is where I think the community also comes into play, is when we can share the experiences that we have and we can support in those failures. That way it's not an utter failure and collapse, but we can really be able to support and help each other be able to be moderate, if you will, or be able to learn the lesson. I think that's really the key element here. Is always be learning. This is why for us, education is such a critical component of what we're trying to provide, especially when it comes to NFTs and when it comes to, what the space that we're delving into is how do we take all the stuff and just provide more education, because that'll just benefit the entire space and each one of us, and also as holders, and support each other. So that's just incredible words from our arch father. And segueing into the mediocrity statement, common opportunity here is for the NFT space. I think very quickly is going to mature, and you're already seeing signs of this maturation happening, where some projects, taking the approach of being able to see the bigger picture and keep growing and don't give up, essentially, in space. Because I know that right now what's going on, there's a lot of concerns and a lot of the news cycle, as the news cycles go, on the ground or under the ground, so many projects are developing. I think we'll have a much healthier marketplace. I think the projects that are not meant to be will no longer be here. And the projects that are meant to be, that are going to be building for a 2, 5, 10-year time frame, those are the ones that we can really be able to start to support and see and watch flourish and really take NFTs to a completely different level. So for me, this is a very healthy thing. I think it's a very important thing as well. So a couple of things that I think from our community basis, we just wanted to share some of these thoughts that we have about our insights and be able to communicate that, so that as a community, we can also share with each other and also support each other in that. So I think I know we were a little bit longer on this segment here, but I think we just got so many awesome gems from that. I'm going to throw it back over to Koichi if you have any follow-up questions for us, or throw it back over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, Cat doesn't have the power to make ETH go up or down, but we do have the power to make an excellent project, right? And we have the power to deliver on excellence. We really want to focus on the things we do have power on, like delivering amazing product, coming here every week, being transparent, showing up, having fun with the community. I mean, those are all things that we have the power of. So let's have fun. Let's keep going. Let's stay together. And thanks so much, Jin, and thanks so much, Renee, episodes. So Jin, why don't you let us know what's coming up? We got a lot of fun things coming up.
Yeah, so our events to discuss the 13th to the 29th, we have Pangyo, the family event. It's really captured by 3 weekends, the first weekend, second, and third. We are going to be doing different things for each one of those segments. Then Permissionless in Palm Beach is going to be, I think, a pretty good event as well. I'm very much looking forward to go to Florida. So much action happening in Miami and Florida, in that region right now when it comes to NFTs and cryptocurrencies. So it's becoming quite the city for those kind of events, quite the state, I should say. VCon are very excited for different sectors, and because this is going to be centered on NFT, very curious and very eager to see, especially with the current sentiment in the marketplace, where these thought leaders and where these other social or societal or cultural figures coming in, what their take is going to be, and if they're building towards something also in the long term. So I'm very excited for that. 520, of course, we got the NV1s. Super stoked for that. Hyundai department store credit card, we're just waiting for a couple of things to be finalized before we can really fully launch on that. But that's going to be just so much fun. The graphics we've created for that, I think people are going to get a total kick out of. So I think that's going to be from Hyundai department store, but certainly we'll be able to create something together. Then the Han River Cruise on 6/11 is also coming up very soon. And then 6/20, 23 NFT NYC. We are
week, and next week is May 20th, the big day of the NV1 drop. We'll be here at 7:30 to, talk about that and all the fun stuff happening. So we'll see you next week. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, guys.